Hello, I'm Dick Wagner. I'm the founding director of the Center for Wooden Boats. The Center for Wooden Boats was created to fill a vacuum in our maritime heritage. There was a place that was needed where the story of the small boats of our past should be told, but better yet, to be used. We felt that the Center for Wooden Boats would be an ideal place to provide history through direct experience, where people can pick up the oars and row historic boats, pick up the helm and sail them, pick up the tools in the shop and build replicas, or pick up the tools and help rehabilitate our collections. It's a museum where people learn by doing. Betsy Davis, the executive director of the Center for Wooden Boats, will tell you about an exciting planning project we are just beginning.
Thank you for your interest in the master plan that the Center for Wooden Boats is working on with many members of our community. We're creating a plan for exhibits and interpretation at the Center for Wooden Boats and in Lake Union Park at the south end of Lake Union. We're just rolling out the project. We want to solicit lots of input from lots of groups, and we really appreciate you taking the time to hear about the project. The Center for Wooden Boats is actually 30 years old. Dick Wagner founded the center when he was living on a houseboat that he still lives on up at the north end of Lake Union, and it's grown organically ever since. Around 2,000 members, over 1,000 volunteers. Probably about 65,000 or so visitors come down annually and participate in the hands-on activities. People can come down and rent rowboats or sailboats, go out for free rides, lots of kids programs, field trips, and we do a big family festival over 4th of July weekend. We're very pleased to have the opportunity to work on this master planning project for exhibits and interpretation, both at the Center for Wooden Boats and in the park. And as you know, the Seattle Parks Department, Seattle Parks Foundation have done a tremendous job designing a beautiful park at the south end of the lake with lots of input from the community, and have already met many of the fundraising goals involved in that project. We're delighted to be partnering with all those organizations. Our goal with this project is to create a master plan, but at the same time, we want to build community. We want to help connect the different folks who live around Lake Union, help them feel engaged in the project, help the community meet each other, the community of people who shares this wonderful Lake Union in the middle of the city. We want to share our own excitement about the maritime heritage of the area and the stories to be told, increase awareness of the project, and build a solid foundation so we can attract funding to implement the great ideas that the community comes up with during this planning project. So we've divided the world into 13 questions and are working at answering each of these questions. And the first is, what is the history of maritime and other forms of transportation at Lake Union? We know it's been a colorful history, and happily we are working with the Museum of History and Industry to create a bibliography and do a bunch of research on what the actual history was, create an annotated timeline that notes all the primary research that documents that these activities, events, historical situations happened, collecting first-person quotes, and Dick is writing some color commentary, some narrative about the different eras in Lake Union's history. We're working with graduate students from the University of Washington's Museum Studies program and various projects around the area where people are looking at the history of Lake Union. So the next question is, whatever it is we do, how do we make it compelling for youth so that they're interested, they're engaged, they're involved? And once again, we're inviting lots of people to help us answer that question. We're researching best practices. We want to define a continuum of experience in the park. Kids come down when they're young, and then they come back as they grow, and there's different kinds of activities for each of the age groups. The whole idea down here is it's a great facility where we can work with partners, and partners who bring in vessels, partners who want to do environmental education and so forth. A whole variety of groups that we've been talking with. we think it's absolutely remarkable to have a historic ship's wharf in the middle of the city of Seattle. We really want to support having visiting exhibits coming in to this park. And so we want to talk with the different organizations. Many nonprofits manage these historic schooners, historic vessels. How do we make this a place that really supports them, bringing the vessels down, connecting the public with the stories these ships have to tell? There's a lot of wonderful clubs for Classic Yacht Association, Antique and Classic Boat Society, the Radio Controlled Modelers groups. So people who put a lot of care in taking care of historic boats, and we want to create a wonderful venue for them to bring their vessels and share them with the public. The next question we're asking is, how does the Center for Wooden Boats best preserve, exhibit, and interpret our own collection? And we're working on actually creating a catalog, a multimedia catalog for that describes all the small craft in our collection, and we're hiring a curator and working on cataloging the collection in other ways. But what we're also doing is inviting other organizations who have collections, maritime collections, that they want to communicate to the public at South Lake Union Park. We want to talk with them and encourage them to create plans for doing that down here at the site. One of the remarkable things about Lake Union Park is there are several national landmark vessels that have been designated on a national level as being historically significant. It's a great spot because you can come down and see those vessels. And the question we want to answer is, how can those landmark vessels best be preserved, exhibited, and interpreted? One of the ships people have heard about is the Wawona, and there's a project involving Museum of History and Industry in Northwest Seaport, really looking at how could Wawona potentially be placed in whole or in part on the land as an exhibit in the park. And we're also working with multiple consultants to bring in fresh ideas and working with the different organizations who own the boats. Virginia 5 is a very exciting vessel, beautifully restored, very active vessel, reflecting the whole history of the Mosquito Fleet down here. Northwest Seaport owns many of the boats, Puget Sound Fireboat Association and others. So we're working collaboratively to really figure out how to connect the public with these exciting historic artifacts.